You guys, look who's back. It's my buddy Mathias. We're having some good deep dive chats. We did just one on commitment that I think was more personal. And basically, you were saying you're learning it, and I'm learning it in different ways. And I believe, and I've always believed, that we are all always committed to something, whether
Yes.
it's a conscious commitment or an unconscious one.
Right.
I've often been committed to my freedom, to my growth, I wanted to be a published author. That was a commitment I made to myself and my spirit, and I was happy to accomplish that. So you talked about commitment being about presence, which is awesome, and that you're also learning how to work with your anger. And I thought, put the camera back on. It's so good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about your anger and how you're honoring it.
Yeah. Well, I guess this anger that I feel I haven't really ever been able to fully feel and process what anger truly is.
Yeah.
And so it's like
Same.
I didn't really know how to work with it. It's like, what do you got all this fire, this
Yes.
this what do you do with it? But
do you tend to lash out like I do? No.
Well,
or do you internalize it more, or how does that work for you?
You know, I get really, I guess it comes out as frustration.
Yeah.
It comes out, it's like,
why?
yeah. But I know it's definitely finding outlets for it. You know, it's finding healthy ways to express it. One thing, but it's definitely feeling it. It's like it needs to be felt, it needs to be honored, because all of our emotions that we feel need to be honored. You know what I mean? And you honor them by being present with them and just feeling them, not trying to change them or restructure them. It's just your divine awareness, and feeling that is like just allows it to like be heard.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's a you, and it just wants to be heard. And so
you know Thich Nhat Hanh, you ever heard of him? He's a Buddhist dude, and he's pretty cool. He says to be gentle to your anger, darling. You know, it's like this sweet way of seeing that isn't going to not be part of your life.
Yeah.
And I tend to, they say anger is one of the lower vibration emotions, and I understand that concept, but I don't think that you can say there are lower and higher necessarily.
No.
When you get to a certain level, you're like, it's all
It's
one. It's all
one.
multidimensional expression of human experience, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
So we can judge our anger, or we can, allow ourselves to feel it, move through it, and be with it, and see what it's trying to say to us. Oftentimes it can be like a crusty layer on top of sadness that needs to be felt, right? Don't you think so?
Most time I think anger is that protective layer of deep hurt.
Yeah.
And
and
I guess a lot of times frustration from that is not being able to heal that. Right now or whenever. It's like the idea, the mind has an idea of like, you know, what wants to happen, and sometimes if we get attached to that comes out as frustration or how the world is, or you know, whatever.
I think I almost feel if we're not pissed off about a lot of things going on, that we're not, like, we don't have a pulse and you're not alive. Now that said, we don't want to live with it, right? Like, we don't want it to run us, but we don't want to deny or push it or.
Well, if you feel it, allow it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you feel it, allow it. You don't
you
don't need to tune into a deep dive if it's not.
Right. What do you do when you're angry? How are you processing it lately, or how are you handling it?
I was told to go throw stones in a river.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so that's something, and you can just ask your guides to clear the stones or whatever. But just really feling that and taking that stone and just, that's one way. I mean, that's a physical way.
Did you know we have a rage room here in Fort Collins? I went. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You get to smash it.
Yeah.
And they play loud music, and it goes quickly. It's really, but it was a good outlet in externalizing it rather than internalizing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I do.
Do people ever try to intentionally mock or anger you or poke you? Do you ever feel that way?
I work in a place that is so intense that I think I've got, and I'm not saying this in an egotistical or arrogant way or whatever. I'm just saying I work in a space that is so
filled with anger.
Yeah, so filled with anger, and the people, and that I don't allow that. I'm not taking that on. I'm not.
You're so smart. I'm not. Someday when I grow up, I want to be you, because I take the bait, I get hooked. But I will say this: I move through it quickly, and then I usually am able to find the humor almost immediately. It's the silliness of it, the absurdity. Right?
Yeah, you just like it. They come through as waves, and if
waves.
if we can look at everything as like how nature operates, so like as ripples and waves, then it can just pass through instead of our minds holding on.
And then it doesn't also affect your nervous flight freeze.
Your nervous system, definitely. That's a big thing. Yep. But if it does affect your nervous system, that's a process as well. So don't be afraid of that. Everything is a process.
Sure.
So you'll find out. But
it's all a process. Right?
Yep.
And again, when I say I find the humor, I mean I am actually laughing at myself, at others, at life, at the silliness. Almost, there is that old expression, I do believe it's attributed to Buddha. It could have been, Fred down the road.
Yeah.
But it's when you realize how utterly perfect everything always is, I'm paraphrasing, you will throw your head back to the sky and laugh.
Yeah,
right?
I'm taking it too seriously.
Well, yeah, like taking ourselves or each other or life too seriously, or trying to be like cool. That's the thing for me. The thing that pisses me off is like people who try to be cool, and you're like, be goofy. It's so much more endearing than.
Well, I think a lot of times that coolness comes from a space of fear,
and
of wanting to fit in,
vanity,
silliness.
So that's cool, and to each their own, right? And everybody has their own version of how they walk with anger, how they walk with grace, how they walk with peace, and how they. Yeah. It is awkward, right? Like anger is awkward.
Yeah,
like you watch a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum, and you're like, "Oh, that's so cute." When it's a 30-year-old or a president, or like a 50-year-old, not as cute. But it's still human. It's still so very beautifully
That's the experience.
Human, right? Yeah. So that's it. I think that's a great one to start with. To leave with. We have grace and peace for all our emotions, the full emotional, multidimensional human range, as we are on this spiritual journey together, doing our best. As Mathias says, as I've written and said many times, do your best, and then
don't be afraid to get messy.
Don't be afraid to get messy. You're preaching the choir now, kid. Boy, woo! Love you, love you.
Yeah,
all right,
thank you.
Bye, honey.